Now, y'all know that laziness is bad and that you need to go out and do work if you want to get stuff that you want. Like, that's not the reason for this video. We're going to talk about something much deeper than that and how apathy can cause sort of a depressive state in a lazy state in your mind. And it causes you to then avoid doing and taking actions that you need to take in your life in order to do well. Now, this is part of that seven deadly sins series, right? Now, again, as I said in my last video yesterday on pride, I'm not a theologian, so I'm not taking this from a strict religious perspective. But the concept of seven vices has been around for a long time, and it checks out when you look cross culturally and in different belief systems. A lot of cultures and religions and systems of belief have these ideas, share the same ideas. So it tells that there's some truth to them. Now, the one we're covering today from the seven deadly sin perspective is sloth. Okay, sloth. You don't hear about that too much. And in the thumbnail and title, I called it apathy because you hear about apathy. That's a little bit better understood. Sloth isn't so much understood. And it's the psychology behind it is very, very interesting, very powerful. And this stuff really sneaks up on you. It's a covert attack on, religious people would say, on your spirit and on your soul, but you could just look at it, if you're more secular, as a covert attack on your life, right? And then your ability to thrive and do well. And so the origins of this, originally there were actually eight bad things, eight vices that came from a monastic or environment with the monks. Okay, and one of the things was a type of laziness when it came to prayer and spiritual life and not doing that sort of thing. That was the big vice. And then they had another thing that was depression and being in a depressed or apathetic state. So those were two separate things. And then later on, they got combined into one thing, and that's how you ended up with seven deadly things instead of eight deadly things. All right, so now what is interesting, I find this very interesting, right? Because, like, depression in ancient times and hundreds of years ago was considered sinful, was considered evil, was considered a bad thing, right? That you just didn't want to let happen to yourself. It was considered a moral problem. Like, if you're being depressed, you are actually being immoral. That's an interesting concept because, like, today in 2025, people like to brandish their mental illnesses on their sleeves. It's like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm this and that, right? Like, that's what people do nowadays. All right, they have no shame in their game. They don't avoid these sorts of things thinking, gosh, this is actually an evil thing that's going to destroy my life and destroy the lives of others. Instead, people get depressed and they like to wear it as a badge of honor, right? Because everyone has that. It's a lot of victim culture stuff, victim mindset stuff, and you don't want to fall to that modern day way of thinking. Right now, obviously, if you're depressed, there's clinical depression, there's being in a depressive state. It's okay to be like, I'm depressed, but don't wear it as a badge of honor. Work to fix that problem. See it as an evil thing, because it really is. It robs you of your joy in life. It robs you of gratitude. It robs you of your appreciation for the life that you've been given, the gifts that you've been given. Every one of you listening to me right now, you have something that is a gift, probably a number of things that are gifts. You have gifts to offer the world, right? You have gifts to offer your neighbor, your friends, your loved ones, your children, your parents, your family, your girlfriend, whatever. You have gifts, right? And you have gifts to offer the universe. And you also have the ability to go out and experience the world in a way that's pleasurable and and good. And you can go out and experience the world in a way that's fulfilling. You know what I mean? And where you can really have that joy and that gratitude for this life that you have. And depression and apathy robs you of that. So this vice isn't just being lazy, go out and do the work. I mean, yeah, laziness isn't good, but I mean, if you have a moment of laziness, if you have a day where you're just like, whatever, you don't do that much that day, but then you get back on your track the next day, is that really the biggest problem in the world? Sometimes you need a break, sometimes sometimes you need that recovery period. I don't see that as being the problem. And that doesn't seem to be the ancient wisdom either. They're not really talking about that. They're talking more about a perpetual apathy or laziness. It's a day after day thing. It's being sucked into this apathetic state of non-action. And I have an interesting story about that, actually, involving friends I know, you could say, in the men's health space. I know guys who do the things with pickup artistry, right? So guys that go out and they teach guys to go talk to women, all right? So they teach guys to pick up on women, all right? Whatever. So whatever your opinion is on that, save it, okay? That's not the point of the video. But there was a guy that had been a client of mine, and he was asking my opinion. And he had been looking at doing some pickup weekends with these guys, learning some of the stuff. And he was deciding that, I don't think this is for me due to his schedule with what he had going on for the next 6 months. And they fired back with basically telling him, hey, like, they're pretty harsh. They fired back with, bro, like, you're an incel, you're not doing your life sucks. Your life sucks with women. You're addicted to pornography. You're doing all, and they're pretty harsh, right? They laid it out for him. And they said, like, you basically suck as a person. And you need to go do something. And that was like their response, basically, right? It's pretty hardcore. And he's kind of like asking me, well, why are these guys being such dicks? Right? Why aren't they being nice to me? I might be a client of theirs in the future. Shouldn't they be nice to me? Well, I had to say, and I'm not saying that these guys running this business they're doing everything that I would do, and I'm not saying they're necessarily right in everything they're doing. I'm not even getting into that. But the point is, I had to defend them a little bit, because in my coaching practice, this is the biggest problem I run into with men, is apathy, is an unwillingness to take action. I will have guys book a consult with me, talk about getting into a coaching program. Their life's falling apart. Their girl is cheating on them. Their wife doesn't have sex with them. They have a crappy life in their relationships. And I have a track record of getting people back on track with their relationships, right? And getting their life together. And they will jerk around and ask a bunch of questions, jump into my community and ask questions. And they're what I call assholes. They ask questions, right? But then they don't take any action. They don't do shit. They're just doing what I call mental masturbation. Many of you guys watching this are guilty of mental masturbation. You are apathetic. You're not taking any action. I understand why these pickup artist guys that I know kicked this guy in the ass. It may or may not have been appropriate, right? But I understand why the reaction's like that. Because anybody who's doing and signing up for a pickup artist weekend, most of those guys are incels who are not taking action in their lives and not doing well with women. And they need to go learn skills on how to do that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's ethical ways and non-ethical ways of doing that. So whatever your opinions are of that, again, that's sort of, I'll leave that up to you to decide what your opinions are. Maybe put in the comments what you think about those things. But regardless of your opinions of it, the people that they usually draw are dudes who are just not taking action in their lives. And they will call these guys up, send them emails, have text communication, take up hours of their time and energy, the coaches, and then just not do anything, waste their time and energy. just time wasters. And I run into this less. I probably run into less of it than they run into, but I do run into a fair amount of time wasters in my coaching business. And the only reason why you guys are time wasters, those of you who have been that way, okay, and you know who you are, is because of your apathy, your inability to take action. I mean, and I don't care. Like, I have some of you guys will be like, well, like, some people might come on and who don't know me might be like, well, you're just trying to get people to send you their money, for some expensive program. No. In fact, you can go for free with no money spent, get into my community right now. There's a link below. If you're watching this video, you should probably do that. Okay. We're having higher level conversations and solving various different problems when it comes to inner game, goal setting, and relationship and dating related issues. It's a great place for men. So you should go there. If you're a lady watching this, I'm sorry I don't have a women's community yet, but for you guys, it's a free resource available to you. I have courses that are in there for free. So there's free, and then I have courses that are for sale that are very low cost, a few $100. My Alpha Mindset course, a few $100 to get started. And then I have coaching programs that are higher in price that take more of my time. And you guys, it's all over the map. There's no excuse for somebody to not take action, but they will do that. Some of you guys will do that. You will bullshit around, waste everybody's time, and do nothing. Okay, that is, well, according to the ancient ways of thought, that is a sin, and you're going to hell. I don't know. I'm not condemning anybody else. It's not my job. Okay. But that is something that is sinful according to old ways of thinking. That is something that is a vice, that apathy and that inaction on areas of your life you need to take action in, it will kill you. It will kill you. It will kill the quality of life. And it'll do it really slowly and slowly erode at your inner game and drive and soul. There are dudes that some people, they create literally almost a hell on earth that they're living in. Some of you guys create a hell on earth because of some of these vices that you have, and then just being like unmotivated and depressive and apathetic and unwilling to take action to fix it. And some of you guys will talk a good game, but you won't do jack shit. You won't get off the internet and take action, right? You won't get out of your comfort zone. You won't, make some moves to get a better income, to learn better skills, to build better social circles, to meet women and potential, romantic partners. You guys are just sitting around in a depressive state. And what do you do when you're in a depressive state? You look for means of escape, and that leads into other vices. Means of escape like pornography. Many of you guys addicted to porn, not talking to real girls, but watching porn every day, all day. You know what I mean? Like, that is what you do with your apathy is you just take the lazy, easy dopamine hit way out. You eat shitty, gross food, right? You don't do physical activity. You lay around. You don't take yourself outside of your dead-end job and start making plans to do something different. You don't do anything that would, God forbid, make you uncomfortable, because can't be uncomfortable in 2025. Some of you guys have such weak ass resilience, man. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. But I try to get it because I try to be empathetic. It's a poisoning of your soul. It's a poisoning of your mind is really what it is. And just this inability to take on any discomfort whatsoever, and it's a sad thing to see. And so many men are just riddled with this because there's so many easy ways to just get a dopamine rush. You can go get high, go slam some heroin into your veins, go slam some alcohol into your face, go watch some porn, go eat some, some hot Cheetos or whatever, man, play video games all day. And look, hey, video games are pretty cool. Some of them, I mean, I'm not completely against it, but are you using that as an escape from accomplishing what you need to accomplish? Are you using it as a means of just feeding your brain easy dopamine and not, having an enriched full life where you're motivated and taking action? I mean, this depression thing, you can call it clinical if you want to, because it exists, in the brain and then the body, and there's a neurochemical reaction of being in a depressed state. But taking an easy way out, again, another apathetic move. I'm going to just go to a doctor and have them prescribe me a bunch of crap. 99% of you probably, maybe 90, maybe it's 97%, I don't know, but like almost all of you guys who get prescribed SSRIs or antipsychotics or all the BS the pharmaceutical companies will give you, right? You don't need it. You just need to go to the gym, take a walk, start doing some inner game work, start journaling, start doing some of the activities I cover in my Alpha Mindset course, start networking and talking to other men, and then you start setting goals, you start taking action. That's going to pull you out of depression. That's going to pull you out of this apathy. But I do understand some of it too. I'm not trying to just be like, suck it up, don't be whatever. Don't be a pussy. Like, that's not the only message here, okay? A lot of times that is the only message. Quite honestly, it's just like, don't be a weak little whatever, right? That's often the message to a lot of you guys, but that's not the message here. That's not the only message here, right? The real thing is that I understand, because the world is not an easy place. And some people, sure, they get all the benefits, right? And it's probably not you watching this video. You're going to have to fight for everything you're going to get. That's just the way it is, all right? You're going to have to fight and learn the hard way, and that's just how the world is. And it can be overwhelming sometimes. It can feel that way. It can feel like, holy crap, I'm never going to have some of the things and opportunities that other people have. I'm never going to get there. I'm always going to be sexless, friendless, just in a destitute kind of state, right? Living off of somebody else, not having enough money to get out of the situation. Just this thing. And some of you guys like are not that bad off. Like, you might be married, you might have families, you might have this, but you're apathetic in that situation. My wife is never going to want to have sex with me like a normal wife should. And I'm just stuck with this woman and stuck with these kids that don't like me or respect me, stuck in this situation. You see what I mean? It's that feeling of being stuck that so many men get into, and you have that feeling. Look, I understand that can beat you down and it can feel overwhelming, but you need to make a decision that you're just not going to tolerate that kind of a life, and start making a decision to figure out how to change it. If you just decide, okay, if you just decide to change it and start taking small actions, it's going to change. It's going to get better. That's the thing. You cannot let the difficulties of the world crush you into being an incel, or crush you into escaping with video games, or escaping your marriage with golf 4 days a week, or escaping your crappy job with, inappropriate internet searches at work, right? Whatever it is that you're trying to escape instead of face. You have to at some point decide that I'm not going to live an apathetic life. It's just a decision you have to make. And then you have to work on your mindset, your identity, and you decide that that's not who I am. I'm somebody who has boundaries. I'm somebody who has standards, and I have standards for how I want my life to go. And I'm somebody who's resilient and relentless and who doesn't give up. Because apathy and sloth, okay, is a form of giving up. That's what it is. And whether you believe in God or not, okay, you've been given the gift of life, dude. You've been given the gift of being on this earth. And why are you slapping that gift away and, smacking anybody who gave you life in the face just because, you're giving up on it, right? It's a slap in the face. There's people right now, you probably have people in your life, have had people in your life that passed away, are no longer alive anymore, okay? You probably know someone that died under a tragic circumstance, I'll bet. And you are spitting on their graves by being apathetic and giving up on your life. And when you bury yourself into worthless hobbies that are just escaping, taking action, and getting what you want, bury yourself into toxic behaviors like substance abuse, porn addiction, right? Stuff like that. Okay. Gambling addiction. How many of you online gamblers are listening right now? Okay. I can start listing a lot of things. You know what they are. They're all just forms of escape, right? They're just escaping, shit posting constantly on the internet. Maybe that's your thing. You're one of those anon accounts, those faceless accounts where you get a fake name and a fake profile picture and you just go around harassing everybody. Maybe that's your thing, right? Maybe it's some OnlyFans girl you send all your money to. Maybe that's your vice, right? But whatever it is, all these things, they lead to these other vices I'll cover in another video, but it's all just a form of escaping. One of the biggest problems with you guys today, 2025, is that there's so many routes to escape to. And people aren't starving to death anymore, usually in a first world country. Homeless people are fat, right? So, like, we have safety nets enough, even though you might be destitute, right? And not in a good place, not happy, whatever. Even people with no homes and no income survive in a first world country still, and can still find money in the ability to do drugs and to, get people pregnant and find ways of escaping. Like, that's where we're at. We're in a world of abundance right now, and it's almost too much. And that allows for you guys to have a very, very, very low standard for your life and to get buried by that low standard. And so it's just a decision you have to make. And you have to look at your life and look at things going on and decide, like, what parts of my life, like, what things am I doing to escape what I need to be doing? I'm not talking about taking a break. I'm not talking about enjoying a golf game on a Saturday afternoon and then getting back to your family, your loved ones, your social circles, your work, right? Your goals. I'm not talking about that. You're allowed to have hobbies. You're allowed to do things that you enjoy. That's part of what makes life good. But I'm talking about escaping. What has become an escape for you so you can avoid confronting your real problems? That's the secret. That's the sneak attack. That apathy is built through these escape routes and tactics. Okay, the video games, the porn, right? The bar every 3 or 4 nights a week for some of you. Okay, the drugs, the gambling, all of the bullshit you do, right? That's the escape. That escaping is fueling your apathy. It's part of apathy a lot of times, right? It's part of this sloth thing. And so you need to just decide, that's not how I'm going to live my life. All right. Go to my community, sign up there, and start figuring out how to set small little goals for yourself on a daily, weekly basis. Start getting some accountability and start taking action, and you'll be just fine. That's good. Take care.